Good evening, YouTube. Happy February 25th. Happy cold, snowy February 25th. Welcome back to some more misguided adventures with Workshop Taz. Boy, I was going to go into something. I lost that completely. Anyway, we're going to bring out some of the big names today. Bauer and Hercules. You know, Hercules. What movie was that? I can't remember if that was Hercules, or This Way, but you remember what movie that was off of. Some of you will remember what movie that is. Some of you weren't even born then. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting up some 1/4-inch steel plate to make some material to practice my stick welding on. I wanted to try to get some stick time in there with the Omni Pro 220, but it's been snowy and cold, and I thought, it's not like real bad, but it was snowing when I got home. I thought, I'll work on cutting some material to practice with, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll get some shots of me working on it, because there's some more adjustments I want to do with that now that I had it on 240 volt and was running it. There was one adjustment I didn't do yesterday, I think it was yesterday, and I want to go back and make that adjustment. Anyway, so today we are going to work our Bauer portable bandsaw here. I have the, I'm not going to call it aftermarket, but I have the replacement blades from Harbor Freight, which are made here in the U.S. In my opinion, I think it should be a fine, it's still kind of a universal blade, you know, for wood and metal and plastic. Well, I don't cut plastic and wood, I'm not going to cut wood with it, so I would really like to find a blade that is pretty much for metal. I'll hit the big box stores and see what I can find then. Anyway, today's going to be 1/4-inch plate, and at some point I've got some 3/8 inch material that I want to work the saw with, but it won't be today because I kind of have to plan what I'm going to do with this. But for right now, these little 1/4-inch thick plates work perfect for practicing your steel. And I'll cut some for MIG and TIG too, but right now I'm having fun with stick since I don't have much experience. And I've been using my handy dandy Miller thickness gauge. You know what I really like about this? I really like the fact that you can't see any of the print on it hardly. It shines just right, and it's not deep enough, so it's really kind of a pain in the butt. I know, wah. Also today, this video was sponsored and brought to you today by nobody, just me. That's it. But I have been using some fun stuff today. We're going to use the Bauer, we're going to use some Hercules, and today I've been using this Silver Streak pen to mark my material with. No, none of these people are sponsoring me, and I'm not really advertising for them. I just think this was kind of a neat pen. I got this idea off of another YouTuber. Oh, my face is in there. You can see my lips anyway. And so I've been using it. It's kind of neat. I like it. So, okay, so with that, I'll dip the camera down and we'll start sawing some pieces, and then we'll go over some other stuff. And then I'll tell you kind of my likes and dislikes about the Bauer saw. Not too much dislikes, but there's one little issue I have with it that I'm a little bit, it's not a big deal, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. Anyway, we'll go with that later. Anyway, so we are recording. Good. We'll dip the saw down here like so. I don't know if you're going to be able to see a whole lot of that. Alrighty. Okay, ready? Whoa. What are we missing here? People. Man, really? You're really going to start that saw without any eye protection? Really? Come on. How about some gloves too, just for S&G? And depending, this is kind of a loud saw, maybe we'll throw on a little bit of hearing protection too, just for fun. So if I get louder, this is why. Okay. Yep, we're on. We're ready to go. One. Two. Three. Four. Okay. Now, I don't know if this does any good or not, but I've been using some soap to kind of keep the blade lubricated. Like I said, I don't know. I still got some on there too, but I always turn it down, slow as it'll go, and kind of, maybe not quite that slow. You gotta keep your fingers out of the way. Okay, so got that lubricated. Alrighty, we have our 4 pieces here. And this seemed to cut through them pretty good. Not too much trouble at all. I didn't push the saw at all. Let's get me up here where you can see me, I guess. So I didn't push the saw at all. I just let the saw do its job. Let me get my hearing protection off and I can talk to you guys a little bit better. So overall, I've used the Bauer saw for a few jobs. No, I don't use it 8 hours a day, obviously. It's kind of an intermittent thing, but so far, the blades that you get, the aftermarket, or this, I guess we'll call them aftermarket, but the replacement blades you have that you get from Harbor Freight are quite a bit better than what comes with this puppy stock. So far, so good. The first one, the blade that came with the saw, cut okay, but I took off a couple of teeth. Well, this has been knocking some steel out and I haven't taken any teeth off yet. And I can't wait to try it on that 3/8 inch stock and see how that works. Okay, so pros and cons of the saw. It's noisy. It's not a DeWalt. It works, so it does the job. One of my complaints here, hang on a sec, while I'm busy moving this thing around, I'm going to unplug it. I don't want any accidental runs. And then okay, so here's what you got. You got your volume control here, even though it's not a volume control, but that snapping reminds me of the old AM radios of the 70s and 80s. Anyway, portable that is. So you have your speed control and all works fine up till about 5. And 5 is okay for some things. I guess I can see if I can get that in the camera better. But sometimes you want 5.5, and it just won't go to 5.5 without all of a sudden going into max. So I don't know if that's a defect or if it just wasn't meant, but it goes to 5 fine. And sometimes you have it there and you get a little bit more, the vibration will kick it over, and it's so I don't know. Like I said, that's probably a pretty petty thing for me. I guess I'm just gonna leave it on full bore when I cut stuff. Just be careful and not force the saw into the material. So that's that. Other than that, it's a $99 saw. Like I said, it's not a DeWalt, it's not a Milwaukee. I've used DeWalt and they're nice. What I found great with this puppy here is after I bought it and I noticed it was really noisy, I just let it run for a little while. I locked the trigger on, and I think I put it about 3.5 or whatever, and just let it kind of run for a little bit, free spin without cutting anything. And it broke in a little bit. I noticed it doesn't vibrate as much, and that you'll probably notice that the more and more you use it, it gets broken. It'll be a little bit better. Not perfect, but better. It's 99 bucks. What do you want? It does the trick, and I've replaced a blade on it already, and I haven't had any issues replacing the blade. It was pretty straightforward and simple. Now, this is what I wanted to bring up, since this isn't going to apply to everybody, but this is applying to me, and it might apply to some of you. I used to go to the steel yard. Boy, I didn't cut that very straight. I used to go to the steel yard and get job-specific things that I needed. Like when I put steps in my U-Haul, the fold-out steps, I knew what I needed, I measured it, I went down there and got specific things. Now that I'm practice welding and playing around with just whatever I can come across at the steel yard, everything's game. I have my 5-gallon bucket. I walk in there. If it's a piece of, let's see here. If it's a piece of, that's, big old angle iron that I don't know what I'm going to do with, but one day I'll weld on it or do something with it. But I mean, it's there. I pick it up. Or, flat stock right now. This is 3/8 flat stock that I'm just, it's on the ground. I pick it up and I go in and weigh it, pay for it, and I'm on my way. And so I don't have anything in specific mind that I need. This is all stuff that I'm just getting. If it looks good, I can weld on it. I'll grab it, and say it goes in my bucket. You go put it on the scale and pay for it, and you're on your way. Now, one thing that I noticed with this stuff is when you go in to get some of the steel, it's either they've cut and is either laying there, or you're going to get stuff cut. You're going to have these sharp edges right here. Okay, this is pretty mild to what I've had to grind down on this new stuff that I just bought. So, you want to be careful of that. And my opinion is, and just my opinion only, is get rid of that as soon as you can. Take your angle grinder or file or whatever you're going to use and knock those sharp edges off. This, I don't have anything. This is amplified as what I had earlier. I took about 7 minutes and knocked the edges off of some steel. The thicker stuff had some pretty good flashing on it. It was sharp, and I thought what's going to happen is I'm going to grab that. It's going to slip through my glove and cut my glove and cut my fingers, and then I'm going to cuss and say bad things. And if it's too deep, then you got to go get stitches or at least wash up your hands, bandage it up, and now you've got an injury that was preventable. That's my opinion. There's the preventable part. So that's where Hercules comes in. So anyway, we'll just pick this up. And this is what I used to knock the edges off there. And it seems like a pretty nice little grinder. I mean, obviously it's not the other brands, but it was $34 with a coupon, and it seems to be, I've used it. There's a guy on YouTube who's taken this apart, and they do actually have made some improvements internally with, say, like a German switch. Quality Chinese bearings, yes, I know that sounds funny, but you can actually get quality Chinese bearings. And it is possible. I'm going to lift this up just a little bit so I don't have to keep ducking down here. So yeah, you can get quality Chinese bearings. This has that in there. It also, the motor windings have, I'm going to call it a protective epoxy of some sort to keep the windings from coming loose, and based later on shorting or vibrating loose or whatever. So and I noticed that this part here seems to be a little bit tighter than some of the other Harbor Freight, and I've got a couple of them. I've got the 7-inch Harbor Freight one. I have the $19 one that's on sale. Sometimes it's the 5 or 5.5 amp One, I can't remember if it's 5 amp or 6 amp. No, I think it's 5. Whatever it is, 5.5, 6 amp, and this is supposedly 7. But for the most part, it's you can't. I can't say you can't beat it. It's not worth any more than $40 in my opinion, but I think it's a step up from what we're used to seeing. I hope I'm right. I'm not. I've had minimal time with it. So where the heck was I going with this? So anyway, yeah, deburr your material when you cut, either, or if you're cutting it, make sure you clean it up. You don't want to get these little guys stuck in your fingers. I've had that happen. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll get that right up there. That's always good for getting in your finger or something, or these sharp edges. These guys actually cut up pretty nice with this saw. I didn't get much edges with that. I am going to deburr it, just for good measure. And then later on, I will, before I go welding on these, I'm going to take all the mill scale off. I've got a angle grinder with a flapper wheel, and I'll remove all the stuff on both sides. And so like this one here, I still have to remove the mill scale off this side, but I'm also going to weld on this side too. I don't know if you can see how it bent it that way for me welding on this side. Well, I want to see what happens when I start, doing beads this way too. So that'll be fun. Anyway, okay, so where was I going with this? So deburr your material. The Bauer $99 portable bandsaw. It seems pretty decent, minus the volume control. Yes, I know it's a speed control. I don't know if that's a defect or if that's just some, I don't know. I want a 5.5. I want a 5.5. That would be 3 though. I don't know how you do 1.5. But so yeah. Other than that, I just cut this with it wide open. It seems to work fine. Just be careful. Don't force into your material. Like I said, the replacement blades that Harbor Freight sells are made in the U.S. They seem to be okay. I don't have that much experience with it yet. What am I thinking of? I'd like to see a finer tooth. Was it these are 14 teeth? I don't know what the other one. If there's, I want to say 27 comes to mind. That's probably not the right number, but a finer tooth blade. I'm only going to cut steel with this. I'm not going to be cutting wood or plastic. If you're going to cut different materials with it, then yeah, these blades would be perfect. Now, so we did that. So we got the Hercules. And what I originally got this for was to, where am I going here? To grind the the flux off of the welds, slag, I'm sorry, well, flux slag, anyway, the slag off of the welds after I got into welding it, because I got tired of sitting there chipping with a hammer, and finally I wanted something faster, so we got this. That was on the shelf for $2. What's my opinion about this? Do not put this with this. Don't do it. Don't, no. Bad, very bad. Vibrates to vibrates so bad it hurts. This doesn't vibrate bad with the wheel on there. I think it's probably about normal for an angle grinder. It's nothing uncomfortable. It's nothing. This puppy here it's unreal. And also this is I think this has got a max speed, it says here, of 8,500. And I guess this spins at 11,000. So 8,500 and 11,000. It slightly exceeds its maximum speed, which I didn't realize that when I bought that. It was $2. I thought, oh, cool, that'll work perfect. And now I'm like, no, I probably should have got one of those, I'm going to call it twisted wire. It's not what they're calling it. Not crimped, not twisted. Knotted wire wheel or whatever. So that's what I'll eventually get for this. I think that's it. I just wanted to bring all that stuff. Got lots of stuff going on. Didn't get one thing I wanted to do because of weather, so we come in here and do something else. Said don't mix that with your new Hercules angle grinder. It's just unreal vibration. Unreal. So I think that's it. Hopefully the weather will clear up. We'll get some more beads run, and I want to have some more time on the Omni Pro 220. There's a couple adjustments I want to do to see if I can get the sticks to run better. There was one adjustment I didn't make. When you go on 110 on the Omni Pro 220, you're limited to 80 amps using stick, and it will only let you choose 3/32, I think. I can't remember if it was 3/32, 5/32, or if it would only stay on 3/32. It wouldn't let you. It doesn't show 1/8. So now it's on 220. I want to see if I have that 1/8 option and put that in there and see what happens. Other than that. Okay, so that's all I got for today. Just quick stuff out here in the garage. I'm going to turn the heat back on before it gets cold. It was 33 a little while ago. It's probably down to 31 or 32 now. I've got about 7 more minutes before I'm freezing my Hushni off in the garage. So my kerosene heater works pretty good. I know I did a video of different kerosenes. I'm almost done with this Crown kerosene. I went back to clean strip. So when this thing burns all the Crown kerosene out of there, we'll put the clean strip back in, and hopefully it won't smell like somebody backed a diesel truck up into my garage. I know that kerosene smells with these type of heaters. I get that, but the Crown, in my opinion, was far worse. But we'll find out if it's just me or if it's actual when I switch this other stuff. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm rambling, sorry. I think that's all I got. So please comment, rate, and subscribe. Please subscribe. So you guys have a great night. Happy 20th of February, and we will catch you guys soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.